Most people believe a new year has the power to change their lives, but time itself does nothing. Calendars turn, numbers change, and routines remain untouched. What separates those who repeat the same year from those who transform it is not luck, motivation, or external events. It is the ability to think differently before acting differently. 2026 will not reward urgency or emotional decisions. It will reward those who approach life with patience, clarity, and a long-term mindset, the same principles that quietly compound value over time. A powerful year never starts with dramatic action. It starts with restraint. While most people rush to set ambitious goals, long-term thinkers pause to reassess their fundamentals. They understand that results are not created by intensity, but by consistency applied over time. The real reset happens when you stop asking what you want immediately and start asking what kind of life your daily decisions are building. Without this shift, even the most ambitious plans collapse under pressure. Many people confuse activity with progress. They stay busy, react quickly, and feel productive, yet move very little. This behavior creates the illusion of momentum while draining focus and energy. A long-term mindset recognizes that doing fewer things well is more effective than doing many things poorly. In 2026, clarity will be more valuable than speed. Those who slow down their thinking will make better decisions than those who rush to keep up. The foundation of a great year is not income or opportunity, but judgment. How you judge risk, how you evaluate trade-offs, and how you respond to uncertainty determine outcomes over decades, not days. Most people allow emotions to dictate their decisions, especially under stress. Long-term thinkers build rules that protect them from themselves. These rules quietly guide behavior when emotions would otherwise take control. A meaningful reset also requires facing reality without excuses. This means understanding where your money goes, how your time is spent, and which habits quietly undermine progress. Avoiding this clarity feels comfortable in the short term, but costly in the long term. Stability begins the moment you stop negotiating with facts. When reality is accepted, decisions become simpler and less emotional. Long-term success is built by prioritizing durability over excitement. Short-term wins feel good, but often create fragility. Durable systems survive boredom, uncertainty, and temporary setbacks. In 2026, those who focus on building stable foundations will experience less stress and more confidence, even when external conditions are unpredictable. This calm is not accidental, it is designed. Another key shift is understanding that patience is not passive. It is active discipline. Waiting without direction leads nowhere, but waiting with a clear strategy compounds results. Long-term thinkers are willing to delay rewards because they understand the power of accumulation. What looks slow in the beginning becomes unstoppable later. This principle applies not only to money, but to habits, skills, and decision-making. 2026 will quietly favor those who think in decades, not months. While others chase quick improvements, a small group will focus on alignment, discipline, and rational choices. This is where the year truly begins, not with excitement, but with intention. Everything that follows will be shaped by this initial decision to value long-term thinking over short-term comfort, setting the stage for a year built on stability rather than reaction. Most people underestimate how much their future is shaped by ordinary days. They believe progress comes from big moments, major decisions, or sudden opportunities. In reality, the direction of a year is decided by what you repeatedly do when nothing special is happening. Small choices made daily either compound in your favor or quietly work against you. In 2026, the people who see real change will not be those who wait for the perfect moment, but those who align their everyday decisions with long-term outcomes. Daily decisions are powerful because they feel insignificant. Skipping reflection, spending without thinking, reacting emotionally, or postponing important actions seems harmless in isolation. But repetition turns these behaviors into patterns. Over time, patterns become results. Long-term thinkers understand that consistency is more influential than intensity. They focus less on what feels good now and more on what will still matter years later, even if the benefit is not immediately visible. One of the biggest mistakes people make is allowing convenience to guide their choices. Convenience favors speed, comfort, and familiarity, but rarely leads to growth. Long-term progress requires friction. It asks you to pause, evaluate, and sometimes choose discomfort over ease. In 2026, those who deliberately slow down their decision-making will outperform those who react automatically, simply because fewer mistakes compound against them. Another overlooked factor is how people treat their time. Time is often wasted not on rest, but on low-value activity disguised as productivity. Constant consumption of information, entertainment, and comparison fragments focus and weakens judgment. Long-term thinkers protect their attention carefully. They understand that where attention goes, life follows. By reducing noise, they increase clarity, and clarity improves every decision that follows. Financial choices follow the same logic. Small, repeated expenses made without intention create pressure over time, while modest discipline creates flexibility. Most people wait for higher income before changing behavior, but long-term thinkers reverse this order. They adjust habits first, knowing that stability grows faster when behavior supports it. Control is built quietly, long before results become obvious. Daily decisions also shape identity. Each choice reinforces a version of yourself. When you consistently choose long-term benefit over short-term relief, your self-image changes. You begin to trust your judgment more and rely less on motivation. Structure replaces willpower. Over time, this creates confidence that is grounded in evidence, not emotion. The challenge is that progress through daily decisions feels slow. There are no dramatic milestones, no immediate validation. This is why most people abandon effective paths too early. They mistake lack of excitement for lack of progress. In 2026, those who remain committed during these quiet phases will separate themselves from the majority without announcing it. The future is not created by occasional effort, but by repeated alignment. Every ordinary day in 2026 will offer the same choice: reinforce old patterns or build new ones. Those who understand the power of daily decisions do not wait for the year to change their life. They quietly change their decisions and allow the year to follow. Most people genuinely want change, yet remain trapped in the same patterns year after year. The reason is not laziness or lack of ambition. It is misunderstanding how change actually works. Many approach improvement emotionally, relying on motivation and enthusiasm to carry them forward. When that energy fades, so does consistency. Long-term thinkers understand that motivation is unreliable. Progress depends on structure, not mood. In 2026, this distinction will separate those who move forward from those who repeat familiar cycles. A common mistake is expecting immediate results as proof that a strategy is working. When outcomes are slow, doubt appears. People assume they chose the wrong path and begin searching for a new one. This constant switching prevents depth and resets progress repeatedly. Long-term approaches require time to compound, but most abandon them too early. They confuse patience with passivity, not realizing that steady alignment is far more powerful than constant adjustment. Comparison also plays a silent role in keeping people stuck. Observing others appear to advance faster creates pressure to accelerate artificially. This leads to risky decisions, overspending, and unsustainable commitments. Instead of building stability, people perform success. Long-term thinkers ignore these signals. They understand that visible progress is often misleading, while invisible foundations determine real outcomes. In 2026, those who detach from comparison will make calmer, more rational choices. Another obstacle is discomfort. Growth introduces boredom, restriction, and delayed gratification. These sensations are interpreted as signs that something is wrong. People return to familiar habits that feel safe but produce predictable results. Long-term thinkers reinterpret discomfort as a signal of real change. They design systems that can operate even when enthusiasm is low, ensuring progress continues regardless of emotion. The environment also works against sustained change. Constant stimulation, easy consumption, and endless information create distraction disguised as improvement. People stay busy but unfocused. They mistake learning for progress and activity for advancement. Long-term thinkers simplify aggressively. They reduce inputs, focus on execution, and allow fewer decisions to carry more weight. This creates clarity and momentum where others feel overwhelmed. Emotional decision-making further reinforces stagnation. Stress triggers short-term thinking, leading to choices that undermine long-term goals. Without predefined rules, people negotiate with themselves under pressure. This erodes trust and consistency. Long-term thinkers remove negotiation. They rely on principles that guide behavior automatically, especially when emotions are intense. Breaking out of this cycle requires accepting that progress often feels uneventful. The absence of excitement does not mean absence of movement. In 2026, those who commit to boring, repeatable systems will quietly advance while others search for new beginnings. Change does not fail because people do not want it. It fails because they try to force it emotionally instead of designing it rationally. Most people associate freedom with having more money, but freedom actually begins with control. Financial pressure is rarely caused by a lack of income alone. It comes from uncertainty, emotional decisions, and the absence of structure. In 2026, those who focus on building control instead of chasing relief will experience a deeper form of stability. Control allows you to think clearly, act deliberately, and avoid decisions that create long-term stress for short-term comfort. A controlled life is built through systems that reduce randomness. When money, time, and priorities follow clear rules, fewer decisions demand emotional energy. Most people live in reaction mode, constantly adjusting to unexpected expenses, distractions, and obligations. This keeps them mentally exhausted and financially fragile. Long-term thinkers design simple structures that create predictability. Predictability lowers anxiety and turns chaos into something manageable. Financial control begins with clarity, not restriction. Knowing exactly where you stand removes fear of the unknown. Many avoid clarity because it feels limiting, but uncertainty is far more limiting. When numbers are visible and boundaries are defined, choices become easier. Stress comes from guessing, not from structure. In 2026, those who face reality calmly will feel more freedom than those who avoid it, regardless of income level. Control also changes how opportunities are evaluated. Without structure, every opportunity feels urgent. People chase ideas because they lack direction. Long-term thinkers evaluate opportunities based on alignment, not excitement. This protects them from impulsive commitments that drain resources. Freedom is not the ability to say yes to everything, but the confidence to say no without fear. Another critical aspect of control is emotional stability. Predictable routines and financial systems reduce emotional swings. Decisions stop being driven by stress or optimism and start being guided by logic. This consistency improves long-term planning and reduces dependence on motivation. In 2026, emotional discipline will be just as valuable as financial discipline. A life built on control often appears quiet from the outside. There is less drama, fewer urgent reactions, and more calm. Many mistake this calm for stagnation, but it is a sign of strength. Stability allows for patience, and patience allows for better long-term decisions. While others chase excitement, long-term thinkers build foundations that support growth without pressure. Building control requires delayed gratification. You trade immediate relief for future flexibility. This transition feels uncomfortable at first because it challenges old habits. Over time, systems replace effort. What once required discipline becomes automatic. In 2026, those who prioritize structure over speed will create lives that feel lighter, not heavier. True freedom does not arrive suddenly. It is designed gradually through decisions that reduce pressure and increase clarity. Control is the bridge between where you are and the life you want. Once that bridge is built, everything that follows becomes easier to carry. Most people spend their energy reacting to what is loud instead of committing to what is effective. Trends, opinions, headlines, and constant updates compete for attention, creating the illusion that staying informed equals making progress. In reality, noise fragments focus and weakens judgment. In 2026, the people who move ahead will be those who deliberately step away from distraction and commit to the long game, even when it feels slow and unexciting. The long game is built on patience and repetition, not intensity. Short-term thinking demands quick results and constant validation. When outcomes are not immediate, frustration appears and strategies are abandoned. Long-term thinkers understand that meaningful progress is often invisible in the early stages. They stay consistent long enough for compounding to take effect. While others chase new ideas, they deepen commitment to what already works. Chasing noise creates constant motion without direction. New strategies, new goals, and new inputs feel productive, but they prevent mastery. People mistake movement for momentum. Long-term thinkers reduce options instead of increasing them. By narrowing focus, they increase the quality of execution. In 2026, those who simplify their approach will achieve more with less effort. Playing the long game also requires emotional discipline. Noise thrives on urgency and fear. Headlines are designed to provoke reaction, not reflection. Long-term thinkers respond with logic instead of emotion. They understand that emotional decisions often create irreversible consequences. Calm evaluation becomes a competitive advantage. While others panic or rush, they move deliberately. Another challenge of the long game is social pressure. When you stop reacting, you may feel disconnected from the crowd. Progress becomes quieter, and external validation disappears. This discomfort causes many to return to visible, short-term pursuits. Long-term thinkers accept this isolation. They value internal stability over external approval. In 2026, this mindset will protect them from costly mistakes driven by comparison. The long game also changes how time is used. Instead of filling hours with activity, long-term thinkers invest time intentionally. They eliminate low-value tasks and protect their attention. This creates space for reflection, planning, and execution. Over time, this focused use of time compounds into meaningful advantage. Consistency is the core of the long game. Repeating simple actions may feel boring, but boredom is often a sign that a system is working. While others seek excitement, long-term thinkers seek reliability. They understand that stability creates the conditions for growth. In 2026, those who remain steady while others chase novelty will quietly move ahead. The long game does not promise immediate rewards, but it guarantees direction. While most people remain trapped in reaction, few will build momentum through patience, focus, and disciplined repetition. By the time the difference becomes visible, the foundation will already be too strong to ignore. Most people reach the end of a year trying to explain why things didn't change. They blame timing, circumstances, or a lack of opportunity. Very few recognize the real reason: they never became the kind of person who produces better results consistently. Winning a year does not happen at the finish line. It happens much earlier, when identity shifts and decisions begin to align naturally. In 2026, the people who succeed will not be those who worked the hardest in bursts, but those who quietly became more disciplined, rational, and patient in how they live. Becoming that person is not about motivation. Motivation is temporary and unreliable. Identity, on the other hand, shapes behavior automatically. When you see yourself as someone who thinks long-term, your decisions change without force. You stop negotiating with impulses. You stop explaining poor choices. Standards rise quietly. This is how lasting change occurs. Instead of trying to control outcomes, you control the type of decisions you repeat, even under pressure. Pressure is the real test. Anyone can act wisely when life feels easy. The defining moments happen when progress slows, when results are not visible, and when stress appears. Most people revert to old habits during these moments. Long-term thinkers respond differently. They pause, assess, and stick to their principles. Over time, this response becomes automatic. The year does not shape them, they shape how they respond to the year. By now, the pattern is clear. Awareness leads to alignment. Alignment creates control. Control reduces pressure. Reduced pressure allows patience. Patience enables the long game. And the long game reshapes identity. This sequence is not dramatic, but it is powerful. It explains why some people quietly move forward while others stay busy but stuck. The best years are not exciting from the outside, they are stable on the inside. Progress also stops being emotional. You no longer rely on excitement as proof that things are working. You trust systems instead of feelings. Weeks of silence no longer feel like failure. They are simply part of compounding. While others quit when momentum feels slow, you continue because your process no longer depends on constant feedback. This is how consistency becomes an advantage. When 2026 comes to an end, most people will feel surprised by how fast it passed. A few will understand exactly why it worked. They will not credit luck or perfect timing. They will recognize that the year improved because their decision-making improved. Time becomes an ally when behavior is aligned. Progress stops feeling fragile and starts feeling inevitable. If you want 2026 to be the best year of your life, the work does not start later. It starts with the standards you set for yourself now, especially when no one is watching. As Warren Buffett's philosophy reminds us, success is built by rational decisions repeated over long periods, not by emotional reactions. If this series helped you see the year differently, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Here, we focus on long-term thinking, clarity, and building freedom through money, one deliberate decision at a time.